Okay, Parshat Chukkas. So we'll start at the beginning. It's the beginning of chapter 19, Parshat Chukkas. You want to share? Okay. So V'yidaber Hashem Moshe v'Aaron lemor. So Hashem says to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, Zot Chukat HaTorah. This is the law of the Torah, Asher Tziva Hashem lemor, which God commanded, saying, Daber el Israel, speaks to the children of Israel, V'yikchu elecha parah aduma, and let them bring to you a red heifer, Tzimima, that is complete. I guess he heard enough. A completely red heifer. Shalom Yedida, come. Finish. Chapter 19. Chukat. Tmima, parah aduma tmima, a red heifer that is completely red. And the Talmud says if it has two black hairs, it's already disqualified. There was a video that was circulating on YouTube about a Jew in the Muncie area, a Jewish farmer. Did you see it? I heard about this. That a red heifer was born in his flock, in his herd.
Just now, or
about a year ago. Yeah. So I don't know if it's still a kosher red heifer or not. In any case, a completely red heifer, Asher en bamum, that has no defect whatsoever. Asher lo ala aleha ol, that never had any yoke on it. V'netatem ota el Elazar HaKohen, and then give it to Elazar HaKohen. V'hotzi ota el michutz lamachneh, is to be taken outside the camp. V'shachat ota lefanav, someone is to slaughter the heifer in front of him. V'lakach Elazar HaKohen midama be'etzba'o, then Elazar the Kohen is to take of his blood with his finger. Now there's difference in the blood. V'yizah el nochach pnei ohel moed, and sprinkle towards in the of the tent of meeting. Midama, of its blood, sheva pamim, 7 times. Okay, and then the sarafet apaleinav, the heifer is to be then burned, and he's to be present watching that happen. Torah together with its skin, with Bisara, its flesh, with Dama, and its blood, Al Pirsha, together with all its waste, Yisrof is to be burned. Lakacha Kohen eats Eretz Be'ezov. Then the Kohen is to take a piece of cedar. In Yiddish is Tenenbaum. What's it in English?
Cedar.
Cedar
wood.
A piece of cedar wood, Be'ezov, and some hyssop. Ushni Torah and crimson thread. V'yishlich el toch schefat ha'para, and he's to throw this into the fire of the heifer being burned. V'chibetz b'gadav ha'kohen, then afterwards the kohen is to wash his garments, tevel them in a mikveh. V'rachas b'saro b'mayim, and he himself is to go into the mikveh. V'achar yavo l'machaneh, and then he can come back into the camp. V'tamei ha'kohen ad ha'arev, and the kohen is tamei until the evening. And also the person who did the burning of the animal, Yechavez b'gadav b'mayim, should wash his clothing and in water, v'rachas b'saro b'mayim, and he too has to go to the mikveh. V'tamei ad ha'arev, and he too is tamei until the evening. So now two people are tamei. V'asaf ish tahor et efer ha'para, and then a person who is tahor is to gather the ashes, and place them in a designated place outside the camp, in makom tahor, in a place that is tahor. V'yital adat b'nei Yisrael, and this shall be for the community of Israel, the mishmeret, for safekeeping, and the main idat to be used for cleansing waters. Chatat, this sacrifice is considered like a korban chatat, like a sin offering. So now the person who gathered all the ashes, he too has to wash his garments. The tamei ad ha'arev, and he is tamei until the evening. And I tell the Bnei Yisrael v'lager hagar b'tocham v'chukat olam, this shall be a law, a chok, for the children of Israel and for a convert who converts amongst them, as an eternal chok, an eternal law. And the Geyab, so now three people have just become tamei. Kohen, the one who burned the animal, and also the one who gathers the ashes, right? And now, what is to be done with these ashes? Hanogeya b'meit, anyone who touches a corpse, the whole nefesh adam, any human corpse, v'tamei shivat yamim, a person who's in contact with a dead body becomes tamei for 7 days. This is actually the highest or the most stringent form of tumah. Hu yitzchata bo bayom hashlishi, he has to be cleansed with these ashes on the third day, and on the 7th day he is then tahor. But if he doesn't go through the process on the third day, then not tahor on the 7th day. Anyone who touches a dead corpse of a human, one who died, and does not go through the cleansing with the ashes of the red heifer, should he walk into the temple area, he is defiling the sanctity of the Mishkan. And that person is then would then be liable to karet, which is death by the heavenly court. Because the cleansing waters have not been sprinkled upon him. He remains tamei otimatovo, his tumah is still with him. And then the Torah goes on and tells us more halachot about If there's a corpse inside the building, how everything inside the building that's uncovered becomes tamei, and also has to be go through the process of cleansing. Okay, so, and then the Torah describes how that process works, and we're just going to go back to the beginning of the chapter. Okay, so have we come across the difference between chukim and mishpatim earlier in the Torah? Like what's the definition of? We have a number of ways of categorizing the mitzvot of the Torah. One very obvious way is to distinguish between mitzvot aseh and mitzvot lo taseh, positive commands and prohibitions. There's 365 prohibitions, 248 mitzvot aseh, 248 positive commandments. Another way to distinguish is between, for example, who is obligated by this mitzvah. Is it something that all Jews are obligated, men only, men and women, Kohanim only, Leviim only, Yisraelim? There's another way of categorizing the mitzvot. Another way of categorizing the mitzvot is by which parts of the body the mitzvah is performed. There's a sefer called Sefer Charedim. Have you ever seen it? It was written about 400 years ago by the Gabbai of the Arizal, where he categorizes the mitzvot according to the different parts of the body. And then there's another way of categorizing the mitzvot, which is chukim, mishpatim, and edot. And chukim are laws which we don't understand the reason for it. Mishpatim are laws that human mind understands the reason, and basically pretty much every human society will come up with these kinds of laws, such as don't commit murder, don't steal, and so on. And then there's Ediyot. There are mitzvot which are sort of testimonies to major events in Jewish life, like, for example, Shabbos and Pesach. These are mitzvot are sort of, besides being a chok or a mishpat, they're like an edut. They're a testimony to our faith in Hashem, to the holidays, and so on. Then there's another way of categorizing mitzvot that pertain to Israel, mitzvot that can be done only in Israel, and mitzvot that are obligatory everywhere. Right? Okay. Another way of categorizing is the mitzvah of speech and thoughts, or is it a mitzvah that is a matter of that pertains to the heart, or is it an action mitzvah? Right? Okay. So here we have, beginning of the parsha, if you look at the second verse, it says, Zot chukat Torah. This is the law of the Torah, right? Now, whenever you say this is, right, what are you basically saying? You're saying this is it, and not something else, right? Zot chukat. This is the law. So what's being excluded over here? We've already come across chukim before. If you look in over there, it says, these are mishpatim and the chukim that Hashem wants us to do. And it's in chapter 20, I believe. No, I'm doing it right. You want? Here it is. No. I don't want to waste time. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly where it is. I'll just have a quick look. Yeah, it's in chapter 25, verse 18. It says over there that "V'asitem et chukotai bet mishpatai tishmeru." This is in Vayikra. You shall do my chukim and my mishpatim. You shall guard. V'asitem otam. You shall do them. Now, the Lubavitcher Rebbe started in 1966, the year that his mother passed away. Yesterday was his yahrzeit. Ian, do you mind getting the air conditioner control? We'll turn it on for a couple of minutes, okay? You see it's on the top shelf? Right. Thank you. The Lubavitcher Rebbe had it for bringing every year, and he started giving talks on Rashi. Known as the Rashi Sichot. As a matter of fact, this Chumash, the Guten Chumash, the fellow who did this, Rabbi Miller, went through over 1,000 Rashi Sichos that the Rebbe gave over the years. And the Rebbe revealed depths of learning Rashi that are total chidushim. There are over 200 printed commentaries from over the years, and the depths that the Rebbe revealed in Rashi are like chidushim. The other commentators didn't reveal yet. So, if I would have a Rashi to give everybody now without wasting your time too much, but we can do that. Why not? You're an advanced group of people. Yes, sure. Okay. Look at this. Here, chapter 25. Look at chapter 25. Here, Chafei, Pasuk Yudchet. We'll do a little bit of a comparison here. The Rashi over there, and it's in Parshat Bahav.
25:18.
25:18. Okay, so is this the Rashi that I want? This is not the Rashi that I want. Hold on. The Rashi that I actually want is Baruch Nuvover one, and you write Nuvover one, and you can tell me so and share what you did, okay? What I want you to look at is, it's the Rashi on chapter 18, verse 4. It's a very similar verse. The Rashi on chapter 18, verse 4. Okay. So over here in Vayikra Perik Yudchet Pasuk Dalit, it says Et Mishpatai. Here you got it. Et Mishpatai. Okay, what did I say? Verse 24? No.
8:4.
18:4. Okay, 18:4. So it says, "Et mishpatai tasu, you shall do my mishpatim." And again, they said mishpatim are laws which we have some understanding of them. So ואת חוקותיי תשמרו, and you shall guard my chukim, the laws which we don't understand, ללכת בהם, is that you should follow these laws. אני Hashem Elokeichem, I am Hashem your God. So it says Rashi, on verse 4, ואת חוקותיי תשמרו, you guys have it? Mm-hmm. Yeah? The Rashi on Pasuk Dalit, the second Rashi on Pasuk Dalit. You have it? Mm-hmm. Yeah? It says Rashi, Dvarim shehem gzerot. These are laws which are gzerot hamelech. They are decrees of the king. Sheyetzer hara, that the evil inclination meshiv aleihem. Yetzer hara answers against them or argues against them, saying, Lama lanu l'shamram, why do we have to keep these mitzvot? Ve'umot ha'olam, if you have an abbreviation there, ve'umot ha'olam of the elidim, meshivim aleihem, and also the nations of the world, the idol worshippers, they too argue against these mitzvot. Kigon, for example, achilat chazir, the prohibition against eating pork, ulvishat shaknes, or the wearing of wool and linen, garments made of wool and linen together, v'taharat mechatat, or the cleansing of the waters from the red heifer. So the Yetzer Hara and the nations of the world, they sort of bring up arguments against keeping these laws. V'kach ne'emar, therefore it says, Ani Hashem. So that's why the verse ends off with the words, I am Hashem your God. Right? Why does it say that here? Meaning to say, Gzerota gazakti aleichem, I've decreed this upon you. I atem rashaim vehipatem. You are not permitted to, how do they say that in English?
Evade.
To what? Evade? You are not permitted to evade these laws. In other words, even though they may not make sense to you, right? These are my decrees, and you have to keep these decrees. So now notice, what did Rashi do over here? Rashi says, he explains what are chukim. Then he says that who is it that brings up arguments against the chukim? It's the Yetzer Hara and the nations of the world. They question them. They say, why should you keep these laws? And so therefore you should know that these are my decrees and you have no choice about it. You can't debate it. Now Rashi over here in Bamidbar, which we're learning right now, right? So you can look at the Rashi here too. Okay. And Pasuk days. Let's have a look at it. Says Rashi. Okay, take off my glasses. I'm at that age where I can do that. Okay, it says Rashi, Zot Chukat Torah. This is the chok of the Torah. Now notice we pointed out before that it says, you have it in this chumash. Okay? Oh, yeah. Zot Chukat Torah. This is the chok of the Torah. So Rashi says, Lefisha has Satan, because the Satan, V'umot ha'olam, in the nations of the world, Monin et Yisrael lomar, they come and they bother the Jews, they disturb the Jews, saying, Ma mitzvah hazot, what is mitzvah? Ma tam yesh ba, what logic is there to it? Therefore, katav ba chukah, therefore the Torah says, this is the chok, this is a decree, zerahi milfanai, this is a decree from me, en lecha reshut lahacher achareha, you have no permission to leharher. How are they translating leharher?
Further.
Huh?
Rishus here to question it.
To question it. Now, machshava means thinking about something. Hirurim generally are questions that arise on their own. Okay? So, why does it say over here, Zot Chukat Torah, which implies that this chok of the Torah Aduma is different from other chokim? B, why does Rashi in Vayikra refer to the Yetzer Hara as being the bothersome one? And over here he's talking about the Satan, right? And over there he says you're not free to evade the mitzvah. And over here he says you don't even have permission to what? To question it. Right? Again, these are three distinctions in the two Rashis, and both Rashis are explaining about chukim. Right? In the first Rashi in Vayikra, he says the Yetzer Hara bothers you, right? Questioning, or actually the word he uses over there is meshivim, which means like arguing against, right? Like somebody, like rebuttals. Okay, tries to rebut you on doing the mitzvah. That's the second difference in the Rashi. The third one is that over there Rashi says, these are my decrees, you have no permission to evade the mitzvah, in other words, you got to do it. Over here he says, A, it's the Satan that's bothering you. B, he doesn't say that he's coming to the Satan is really coming with a rebuttal, but it's just more like he's bothering you. And C, you don't, these are my decrees, and you don't have permission to question it. So why the difference in the Rashis? So when you went to Cheder, you went to Cheder? You're in Cheder now. Okay. But when I went to Cheder, or most people that you will ask, they'll say, okay, here Rashi mentioned the Yetzer Hara, Rashi mentions the Satan, and there is a Gemara that says, Hu ha-Yetzer Hara, Hu ha-Chash, Hu ha-Satan. There's a Gemara that says that the serpent in the Garden of Eden, the Yetzer Hara, the Satan, are basically all the same character. Okay? And the Gemara, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, the Gemara lists 7 different names that are used for the Yetzer Hara, which basically are about 7 different ways that the Yetzer Hara could bother you. So it is true, there is a Gemara that says the Satan and the Yetzer Hara is the same bad guy. But the Rebbe says no, it's not always the case. You understand? Just because the Gemara says that they're the same, it doesn't mean that every time that the terms are being used synonymously. There are times where the Yetzer Hara has a specific identity and the Satan has a specific identity. So what is Yetzer Hara? The word Yetzer, what does Yetzer mean? Inclination. Very good, Rabbi. Very good. Inclination. An inclination to doing something negative, right? Remember the little children's cartoons, like, with the Yetzer Hara is like this dark angel and the devil and right? Remember, who was that black comedian? The devil made me do it. The devil made me. Flip Wilson, yeah? Okay. We're dating, right? You heard of Flip Wilson ever? They don't even know who that is. Okay, fine.
It's very dumb.
Anyway, so the Yetzer Hara is an evil inclination, and the Satan. What does the word Satan mean? It actually shows up in next week's parsha when the angel comes and stands himself before Bilam's donkey. The word that's used over there is that he's blocking, that the angel came to block the donkey. So the word Satan is a blocker. Okay? Right?
Satan.
Yeah, that's where the word Satan comes from, right? So So that's the difference between Yetzer Hara and Satan. Yetzer Hara engages you in some kind of an argument. Satan tries to block you from what you're doing. Okay? So the Rebbe explains that basically there are two types of chukim. There are chukim which you don't understand particulars about the law. Okay? But the general concept you sort of can understand. For example, two of the words that I avoid translating in general are tumah and tahara, because there is, in fact, no accurate translation of these two words, at least not in the languages that I know. For example, if you're going to say that tamei is impure and tahor is pure, right, which is in modern Hebrew, like, Shemen Zayit, or even ancient Hebrew, Shemen Zayit tahor, pure olive oil, means to say there are no impurities in it, right? Well, and then what would tamei be? Shemen Zayit tamei, it will be impure, means that there's dregs in it or whatever it is, but we don't speak that way, we don't say that, right? And besides which, pure and impure have a positive and a pejorative connotation. And the fact of the matter is that you can become tamei doing a very great mitzvah. Mm-hmm. Going to a funeral is called, honoring a dead person is called chesed shel emet, true kindness, because you're not expecting anything, any favors back from this person. Whereas if I do you a favor to a living person, so in the back of my mind, it's like, today I'm doing you a favor, tomorrow you'll do me a favor, right? So, I guess one of the most accurate ways of describing tamei and tahor is basically saying that when you are tahor, you are permitted to come into the Mishkan or into the Beit HaMikdash, and you're permitted to bring the sacrifice. If you're not tahor, if you're tamei, you can't go into the Beit HaMikdash, and you cannot. In other words, it prevents you from doing certain things. It's sort of some kind of a mystical thing, right? But you understand the concept a little bit. For example, I'm in the mood for ice cream. I'm not in the mood for this, right? What does mood have to do with it, right? So you understand, you sometimes you're like, oh, you went to a gathering that was like very holy, it was very this, it put you in a high mood. Sometimes you go something and you just, it didn't feel good, and so on. So you understand that there are certain states of mind or consciousness that are, you feel like davening, you feel like dancing, you feel like doing a mitzvah, there's certain states of consciousness. Maybe you want to, but you just can't do it, and so on. Okay? So the concept of tumah and tahara, there are some kind of parallels in our experience, right? Although I'm not trying to say that this is exactly what it is, right? So, for example, the Ishbitzer in Parshat Chukkas, where the Torah tells the Kohanim the laws, you're not a Kohen, right?
Yes.
You're a lady?
Right.
Where the Torah says that Kohanim are not allowed to go to cemeteries and to participate in funerals, right? So this Ishbitzer explains over there that the Kohen's job is basically to help others connect with Hashem, particularly if they've done something wrong and they're doing tshuva, or any time that a Yid is bringing a korban, right? Wants to come closer to God. The Kohen's job is the word lechahen as a verb means to serve. The Kohen's job is to serve, to help this person in various ways, depending on the situation, to come closer to Hashem. Right? the people of Israel are all Kohanim in the sense that before the Torah is given, it says, "Vatem tihiyu li mamlechet Kohanim b'goy kadosh." You shall be for me a kingdom of priests and holy nation. In what way are we Kohanim? Well, we're supposed to help all the nations of the world come closer to Hashem as well, right? So the Ishmael says over there that if the Kohen is going to go and participate in funerals, he says it's pretty much impossible to encounter death and not get angry at God. Because not everybody is well in their 90s when they pass away. Sometimes one faces the death of a young person that's tragic and like, God, why'd you do this? You know, type of thing and so on. Like we sort of accept that death is part of life, but like, you know, we want to have this idea, like, you know, you lived your life and okay, time has come, you know. The cemetery in Sanhedrin is called Eit L'chol Basar. The time has come for every person, you know. So I think that's the name is something like that. Or Zman, whatever it is. But so Hashem is saying to the Kohen, your job is to help people come close to me. And if you're going to be angry at me, then you're not going to be able to do your job. Right? So Hashem says to the Kohen, I don't want you to get involved with, you can sit on the couch also. Feel at home. No, don't apologize, please. I fall asleep even in the middle of teaching. I've done that. I have sleep apnea. Sometimes when I'm teaching a class in the afternoon, for a few seconds where it happens, you know. Anyway, your job is to help people come close to me, and you won't be able to do it properly if you're going to be angry at me. Okay, so you understand that, right? You understand. So in other words, there's certain. You don't understand the details of the law, but you understand something of it. Also, in Mishpatim, in the laws that we do understand, there are aspects to the law that we don't understand. For example, Moshe and Aaron, you heard of them? Two holy brothers, two tzaddikim, right? They see someone committing a crime. They come to Bezdin, they tell Bezdin, we saw this person doing this. Bezdin throws the case out. They're not even allowed to listen to them. Why not? Well, you're worried that they're lying? Moshe and Aaron, they're brothers. Witnesses cannot be related to each other, or to the defendant, or the prosecution, whatever, okay? Even though I have no doubts, they're not telling about whether they're telling the truth or not. They're for sure telling the truth. But that's the law in the Torah. Okay? Good. In other words, so even in Mishpatim, laws of testimony, which most of it makes sense, there are laws that don't make sense. Okay? I mean, there are aspects of the law that doesn't. Okay? So that's why the Torah says over there in Vayikra, if you notice, the Torah says you shall keep my chukim and my mishpatim, and the next verse says you shall keep my mishpatim and my chukim. The Torah is equating the two. Okay? So the Rebbe says like this, a law, a chok, which part of it is understandable to you and part of it is not understandable, is more open to the challenges of the Yetzer Hara. Why? Because since you understand part of it, right? So that means you're relating to part of it, you're relating to with your intelligence. And the Yetzer Hara comes and says, okay, the part that you understand, I understand why you're doing that, but what about the rest of it? Like, it just doesn't make sense. You're a human being. And you know that in the time that the Rambam wrote the Moreh Nevuchim, which he wrote in Arabic, the dominant philosophy that people were subscribing to was known as the Aristotelian philosophy. I guess there was a man by the name of Aristotle at some point. And in the Moreh Nevuchim, the Rambam tries to explain all the mitzvahs of the Torah, and he wrote it in Arabic. Why? Because the dominant philosophy at the time was, you're a human being, you're a person with intelligence, don't you dare do anything that doesn't make sense. Okay, don't you dare do anything that doesn't make sense. So therefore the Rambam had felt that there was a need to explain the chukim as much as possible. Okay. So when you're understanding part of a mitzvah, and part of it you don't understand, it's more difficult to keep the part that you don't understand. But what about when you come to a chok, a law that doesn't make any sense whatsoever? Namely, the chok of the Torah, the chok of the red heifer, it doesn't make sense at all. Because the one who is tahor becomes tameh. The one who is tameh becomes tahor, right? And how the sprinkling ashes and a mixture of ashes and water with hyssop and so on, like what does that do to remove your tumah, right? And it has to be on the third day. Yeah, good. It has to be on the third day, right? Etc. Etc. It just doesn't make sense. So what is the Jew who's challenged and said and told, why are you doing this? It doesn't make any sense. So what are you going to say as an intelligent person? What are you going to say? Huh?
You're gonna try and reason with him, explain to him why.
But it doesn't. You have nothing to reason about. What are you going to say? It's paraduma. There's nothing that you can explain here. So why are you going to do it? Why? Why are you going to do it?
It's a commandment.
Because Hashem said. In other words, you're going to basically say, okay, I don't get it, right? But Hashem's wisdom is beyond anything that we can even imagine what wisdom is, right? So I'm going to do it anyway, right? So by the other chukim, Rashi says, you're not permitted to drop the mitzvah. Here Rashi says, this, by the other chukim, it's the Yetzer Hara that's coming and bothering you, right? By this one, the Satan is coming to bother you. Because the Satan knows, he's not getting, Satan knows that you're going to do it anyway. But he's trying to block you. You know what an example of the Satan is? When you're davening Shemoneh Esrei, and you're thinking about everything in the world except for what you're saying. Right? Seems like we all have a little bit of experience with that, right? Okay? So he's blocking your prayers. He's blocking you from being totally focused, and that's the idea of Satan, right? So what does the Satan do? The Satan comes and bothers you with the same argument, but he's not trying to dissuade you from doing it. He's trying to block you from doing it properly. So what is the Satan going to gain? He knows that you're not going to. He knows that you're going to do it anyway. So what is he trying to gain? So the Rebbe says he's trying to rob you of doing it with joy. He's trying to rob you of doing the mitzvah with joy. And notice a little child, daddy says or mommy says, would you like to do a mitzvah? Or would you like to do me a favor? The kid says, yeah. Right? The kid gets older, not now, wait, later, whatever it is, right? What's the difference? Because with the older kid, there's already more reasoning involved, right? The younger kid understands, Tati wants me to do a favor. I love Tati. I want to do it and I'm happy to do it. Right? Right? You're young. Your mother says, can you help me get ready for Shabbos? Can you sweep the floor? Yeah, sure. Right? Parents get older and they require more help and so on and so on. But you're also busy with your own life and this and that, right? So you don't, you have to be on a pretty big madrega to help them with the same joy that you helped them when you were young, right? Okay, good. So, so that's why over here it says that when the Satan bothers you, you don't even have any permission to think about it. In other words, even though when you think about why am I doing this mitzvah, it doesn't make any sense. But God is still beyond my reason and my logic, so I'm going to do it anyway, right? Okay, but if you went through that, if you allowed yourself to pay attention to the arguments against doing it, the Satan has robbed you of doing it with joy. So that's why Rashi says over here that Hashem is saying, this is a decree of mine. Don't pay attention to these thoughts that will arise within you. Those are the thoughts of the Satan. Don't pay any attention to them. In other words, don't dwell on them. Don't think about, yeah, that's a good question. Why am I doing this? Oh yeah, I'm doing it because God told me to do it. Well, I'll do it anyway, even though it doesn't make sense. Don't pay any attention to that. Do the mitzvah b'simcha. Right? And this applies to all the mitzvahs. Do the mitzvah b'simcha. It applies to all of them, obviously. Right? So that's the point. So that's chukat Torah. A yid naturally wants to do mitzvot. Sometimes we're not aware of that. Sometimes you need a Lubavitcher lady to stop you in the street and say, do you want to light Shabbos candles? Or you need somebody to come and be mikar of you or something like that, put on tefillin. You might not be aware that you want to do the mitzvah. Sometimes you might need, chas v'sholem, a smack from above. You know, sometimes people like, I was telling that there's this young man who grew up in the Moshav, and he told me that the first time that he went to America, he was walking in the streets of LA, and he's saying, wow, I'm free. None of my teachers are here to bother me. I could do whatever I want, you know? And as he's saying that, he tripped over this tiniest indent in the sidewalk, fell on his face and broke his tooth. And he said, oh my God, Rabbi Shalom, I guess you're watching over me here too in LA. And he dropped all those thoughts about going to do whatever he feels like, you know? You know, sometimes Hashem gives you a little bit of a smack, and sometimes, God forbid, worse, and to wake us up, okay? But whatever it is, Hashem is only meaning good. So sometimes I forget why I'm doing things, or I don't feel like it, and sometimes, like, you know, I need a little bit of help in the Shemayim. But the ultimate is to understand that, yes, there is a Satan, there is a Yetzer Hara. They exist so that we could do mitzvot by free choice. So they exist so that we can serve Hashem, that it should be avodah, so that we could work at doing the mitzvah. That's why they exist, right? Because the Satan, the Yetzer Hara's arguments are pretty good. For example, the Rebbe brings in a Sikha. The Yetzer Hara comes to the person and says, tell me, do you think that you're better than Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai? The Gemara says that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai lived to 120 years. He never stopped learning. And before he died, he was crying, and his students asked him, why are you crying? And he says, because I see there are two paths ahead of me. One is leading to heaven, one is leading to hell, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to be going on. Yochanan ben Zakkai, right? So the Yetzer Hara says, you've already got a history of things that you've done that aren't right. So why don't you just give up your struggle and just enjoy that all-dressed pizza or whatever it is, right? Why do you keep on trying? So he's got a good argument. You know what they say in Lubavitch? Stop worrying about whether you're going to heaven or hell. We're going to hell, but there's going to be a Farbrengen. Forget about, stop thinking about where am I going. The only question right now is, Hashem, what do you want me to do now? That's the question. Okay? Mm-hmm. Stop with the calculations. You're going to start making calculations, the Yetzer Hara is going to get you like that. Wrap you around his fingers. Okay? So I hope that you understand a little bit. It's more likely that you're going to get engaged in what's logical about it, what's not logical about it, why should we do this, etc., etc. So that's the Yetzer Hara's job. a chok that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, you're not going to get into any intellectual discussion. Come on in. That's Ben, right? You're not going to get involved in any intellectual discussion because there's nothing to discuss. There's nothing to discuss. I don't understand it. Of course, so we're going to argue with you. I don't understand it. Shalom Aleichem, you're back?
Yeah.
Good, welcome.
I think I'm back.
Huh? No, I mean, you were in the States, right? Or England, right? So with the chok, you're not going to get into any discussions because there's nothing to discuss. I don't understand a word of it. So why are you doing it? Well, God said so, but it doesn't make any sense. But God is smarter than me. Okay, I'll do it. But if I allow myself to get into that discussion, I'm allowing myself to be robbed of the joy of doing the mitzvah. You know that according to the Arizal, all our mistakes begin because we do mitzvot without joy. Because when I'm not b'simcha, then I'm an available customer for the Yetzer Hara. But if you're happy doing a mitzvah, if you're happy serving Hashem, the Yetzer Hara comes and says, let's go to a party. What do I need to go to a party for? I'm happy sitting and learning. I'm happy doing a mitzvah. I don't want to go to a party. Right? But if you're doing a mitzvah and you're not happy anyway, right? The Yetzer Hara comes and says, come, I'll take you out. We'll have a good time. Right? So that's the big danger of the Satan, that even though you're not going to get into an intellectual argument with him, but you have to be careful not to let him rob you of your joy. This is a big one.
You should always go to davening.
Huh?
You should always go into davening in a state of joy, preferably, right? It's very hard to do.
Yeah, that's why.
You're always rushing to.
That's why you need to actually take time to meditate beforehand, and
right.
So yeah. You're a psychologist, right?
No, real estate.
Huh?
Real estate.
Real estate. He uses psychology. Right? Okay. So the same way that you use psychology in your profession, we got to use psychology when it comes to davening also. You know? Take a few minutes, think about what I'm doing. But the tragedy is that, you know, like this guy says to his friend, did you daven? She says, well, I can't say that I davened, but I was yosef. I fulfilled my obligation. I said the words, you know, but I can't say that I actually davened, right? And we get so used to being yosef. Say the words, and we're not even surprised that the Satan bothers us. And I don't know about others, but so often we don't even engage. I don't even engage in this struggle, you know, to keep the mind focused on what you're saying. It's really a big struggle, and people just sort of get tired and just are satisfied with themselves with the fact that I put on my talis, I put on my tefillin, I said Shema, and da. So, is it better than nothing? It's a lot better than nothing, for sure, right? So, and we have to go to work. So, Zalzer Rebbe in the Tanya, in a couple of places, he says to the Hasidim that he's going to send spies around. He says, fine, during the weekday, you can do your chakras, and it should take you an hour. Daven at a normal pace, don't rush through it, and give it as much attention as you can. But Shabbos, he says, you better do the work. You don't have to go to your job. You better spend time really davening properly. Okay, we should be blessed to daven well, and Hashem should listen to our prayers and answer our prayers quickly. If I would have asked any of you 5 years ago, would you imagine how much the world has turned against Israel over these 5 years? Not so many people would have imagined this. You know. So we need Hashem should answer our prayers. Like we need to pray sincerely. You know, Hashem Yivarech Hazame Basholem. We should be blessed with peace, and we need to know that every one of our brothers and sisters is our brothers and sisters. Is my brother, is my sister. Whether they're observant or not observant. And we've got to be careful not to talk Lashon Hara against Yidden. Every Yid is Hashem's child. And Mamash, we should see the Geula Shleima now, so we should, you know, who wants to fast again on Shivas or B'tanis? Who wants to fast again? You know, who wants to see the Beis HaMikdash? Because you can't imagine the Beis HaMikdash without a shopping center next to it. Don't worry about it. Mashiach will help you with your consciousness. You know? Okay. Have a good Shabbos. We're going to be here for Shabbos. We're going to have Shabbos Shudas and Mitzvah Shem. Most welcome.
Do you have your answer from the question from last week? What were they doing for 7 days?
I've been thinking about it all week.
Me too.
Oh, you've been thinking about it for 7 days. Great.